Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ismono Commute, the series in which I utilize my drive, my commute to either work or to the gym to use the time to talk to you about movies, series, or now games that I enjoy. And before I start this episode, I just wanted to tell you, please do not text and drive, and definitely don't look at the display or anything. I intentionally use an action camera without a display so I don't get distracted whenever I'm driving. It is very rainy at the moment, so also drive careful, but also this means the sound might be very noisy, so heads up for that. And yeah, today in this episode I want to talk about the game Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I have read the books multiple times in English, in German. I own them as hard copies. I listen to the audiobooks on Audible, I don't know, at least once a year probably. I listen to them in German but also in English. I prefer obviously the English version. And the game is much better than I anticipated. The story is many years before the story of Harry Potter. And basically it shows you, there are a couple of cars merging into my lane, so I'm trying to watch out. Again, it's very rainy at the moment, so always drive defensively, especially in the rain. Alright, so Hogwarts Legacy is many years before Harry Potter, as I said, and you get to the school as a 5th year, which is quite unusual, but gives the player the opportunity to already know a couple of spells and kind of jump forward instead of starting completely from scratch and from zero. And I thought this was a very good choice in terms of storytelling, because I feel that the first years in school probably would have been a little bit boring if you didn't know any spells. So having you as a player enter the game as a 5th year, in my humble opinion, is a very good choice. Because it is many years before the story of Harry Potter, obviously the time is also a little bit different. But when you watch the Harry Potter movies, you don't really notice that you are in present time, because obviously everything is with magic and you don't get in touch with technology, for instance. So whenever you listen or read Harry Potter, you don't really feel disconnected from your time, although you are more or less in our times. And with this story, it's basically the same. Despite the fact it is many years before the actual Harry Potter story, you don't feel that you are in 100 years or how many years it might be before today or in our world. Because everything is this, I'm not sure how you would call this time frame, but it just feels like a different world and different time period, no matter in what year this story might play. And what I really loved about this game is the feeling of nostalgia that you experience, because you listen to the music. The score is amazing. It feels, there is a traffic jam in front of me. If in Germany, at least, if you are the last one in the traffic jam, you are supposed to put your hazard lights on so no one crashes into the end of a traffic jam. Not sure if you do that in other countries as well, but in Germany it is quite common. So that blinking noise is my hazard lights. So there are a couple of cars behind me already, so I am not the end of the traffic jam. The hazard lights off. And yeah, the score of Hogwarts Legacy is amazing. It just, whenever I play a game, I sometimes have a hard time kind of diving into the game and getting kind of lost in the world. I love stories. I prefer games with a storyline because it's somewhat kind of like a movie, but I never dive into being the character or into the world that I'm playing. With this, it's completely different. Actually, when I started the game, I was smiling the whole time because the score is so good. It really pulls you into the world of Hogwarts, and it gives you this somewhat cozy and almost homey feeling, and the whole world is so fleshed out. All of the hallways, Hogwarts itself is very detailed. You can go anywhere. It's an open world game, and you can explore everything. All of the characters, the NPCs that walk around give you a very lively feeling of Hogwarts itself. The characters that you interact with have good voice actors, and at least in the English version, and the way they are modeled looks good. Some characters have a little bit weird facial movements and mouth movements that look weird sometimes or kind of artificial. Obviously it's a game, but then you see other characters or your character that you can completely model and customize yourself, and you see that looks all great. But then sometimes, occasionally, you get to an NPC that has some weird mouth animations, but the voice actors are great. The game overall is, I have played 19 hours at the moment, and I only or predominantly play the main quests. I'm not the kind of person that is a completionist, a person who likes to complete the whole game 100%. I'm usually not that kind of person. I do side quests to level up, but in this game you do not need to finish all side quests. You can, but I watched a couple of videos beforehand to kind of inform myself what to do, and many reviews said, hey, you can stick to the main quest and then go back to the game again and finish all of the side quests. So I predominantly stick to main quests or side quests that give me extra spells. And from my experience, that is totally doable. That being said, I'm just a casual gamer, and I play in easy mode, in the so-called story focused mode, because as I said, I like games for their story. And obviously hardcore gamers kind of scoff at that I play in easy mode. But yeah, I kind of focus on the storyline, and I tend to unfortunately lose interest if a game is too hard. Also keep in mind, as a person who is already over 40, unfortunately, has a job and responsibilities, unfortunately, my time frame to actually play is limited. So whenever I have a game that is too hard and where I die a lot of time, I do lose interest. And yeah, I want to cherish the times that I have the time to play a game. So I'd rather have it a little bit easier, but then be able to concentrate on the storyline instead of kind of torturing myself with a game that is too hard for me. So yeah, that's why I play in easy mode. And maybe your mileage varies in terms of if a game is harder, then you might need to play all of the side quests to properly level up and therefore be able to kill all the enemies. Speaking of killing enemies, there is it's a good balance between actually fighting or solving puzzles. And I like the balance. I would say it's about 50-50 when it comes down to puzzles and fighting. I love the fighting mechanism. You have a lot of spells at your disposal, and you have a couple of layers of button presses. So you have 4 spells at the ready that you trigger by pushing and holding your right trigger button, and then activating the spell with A, B, X, Y, and then you have multiple. The more spells you get, the more decisions you have to make, but later on when you level up, you can actually create separate layers. So overall, if I'm not completely mistaken, you can have 16 spells at ready. So by triggering the right trigger, holding the right trigger and pushing left, right, up and down, you can actually access the different spell layers, which each layer has 4 spells. And with that, you are able to kind of get ready for any combat that you might encounter. And the combat is really fluid from my casual gamer perspective. You have different kind of spells. You have red spells that are more in the offensive, so kind of fire spells, Expelliarmus, stuff like that. Then you have yellow spells that do, I'm not sure how you can call them, but you either levitate opponents, you can freeze them, you can transfigure them. So it's kind of like a spell that gives you more time, let's say that way. Then you have purple spells that are kind of like Jedi Force stuff, where you can pull opponents towards you, or you can push them away, throw them to the ground. So with all of those spells, you have a lot of flexibility how you want to approach a fight. Then you have light blue spells that repair stuff, where you can be invisible and sneak up. So you have a lot of options how to approach a fight. You can do it kind of Snake style. What was the game called, where the protagonist is Snake with one eye patch? I forgot the name. Solid Snake. What was the game called? I forgot the name. But where you can just kind of sneak towards your opponents and then do kind of freeze them and incapacitate your enemies, which is a lot of fun. I try to sneak up on most of my enemies and then kind of limit the number of my enemies and then go into a big fight. The puzzles are also great, but at some points obviously you kind of get the mechanics of how these puzzles are supposed to work, and they are a lot of fun. They are challenging at first, but they're also a lot of fun. And as I said, it is very balanced in terms of fighting and puzzles, which I really like. Now getting to the story, I obviously don't want to spoil anything, but the story is really good. It's captivating, and you can really dive into the story in terms of that you understand why you want to kind of finish that quest and why it's interesting, but you also kind of you can understand the antagonist. I don't want to say that you necessarily can sympathize with him, but you sympathize his reasoning why he became quote unquote evil. He is evil, but you understand why he became that way. And I think those are the best villains in my humble opinion. For instance, Thanos from Endgame and Infinity Wars of the Marvel storylines. He was evil. He was an evil antagonist, but you kind of understand why he wants to kill the world in a way. Not kill. I don't want to spoil. It's an old film already, so if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry if I kind of spoil it, but he wants to halve the population of the whole universe, and you kind of understand why. And it's not the same in Hogwarts Legacy, but depending on how you play the game, I'm not sure if it was told in the side quest or in the main quest, but I believe it's in the main quest. You kind of get told the history of your villain, of one of the villains, and why he's looking for the stuff. I haven't finished the game, so maybe later on I might change my opinion on that villain, but right at the moment I think he's cool in a way that you understand why he's doing what he's doing, or not why he's doing it, but why he's evil, which makes it really interesting. The side quests are, or not the side quests, the main quests where child NPCs are involved, or your fellow students in the school are involved, are also really cool. I usually tend, whenever I see movies, series, or also games, I tend to get a little bit annoyed of child actors and child characters in a way, because they are children, and not negatively, I don't mean this in negative, children are awesome, but I mean in films or in games, sometimes child characters are written and played in a very childish way, and I feel that children aren't that stupid as sometimes they are showed in some games or in some movies. And for instance, there are so many good animated children movies, but that also cater to adults, and where the humor is ageless. So it's understandable for kids, but it's also funny for adults. And that's what I mean with sometimes when a writer is lazy, they write children very childish and in some way stupid, quote unquote. And that's what annoys me, and where I kind of get lost following that character. But in this game, it's not that way. Of course, there are some characters that are a little bit childish. If you're a kid, if there are children, they are supposed to be childish. Don't get me wrong. They are supposed to be kids. But sometimes they are shown in a very stupid way. And that's what I don't like. In this way, they are still children or youth kids, but they are still not stupid. They don't make childish jokes or childish mistakes. And therefore, I feel that this is, if you're a kid and playing this, there's something that you can learn. But if you're an adult playing this, it's still enjoyable to follow those characters, if you know what I mean. And again, I don't want to kind of bash children. I think it is important to be a kid, to be childish, but in movies sometimes it kind of distracts storylines if a child character is too childish and too stupid in a way. But in this game it's totally fine. But yeah, without spoiling anything more and getting to a verdict, I would say this game is amazing. It made me feel as a Hogwarts student. It made me feel being in Hogwarts. And I kind of want to reread or re-listen for the 1000th time the Harry Potter series. The gameplay, the fighting mode is very fluid, very quick paced, but still for a casual gamer like me, not overwhelming. The puzzles are challenging, but still they don't get you out of the game. Excuse me. Wow, I talked so much now that my throat is a little dry. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's an amazing game. I can highly recommend it. And I'm not going to go into the discussion, the political discussion with the author of Harry Potter. That is a completely different topic, and I don't like to go into politics with any of my videos. And I do feel that with this game, yes, some money probably is going towards J.K. Rowling, and I understand if you don't want to support her, but I also understand if you still want to keep reading Harry Potter. For me, I don't really care. I hope I don't offend anyone. But again, I don't want to go into that discussion. That being said, I feel that since this is made by totally different people, and I can feel the passion of the people who made this game in the game, I kind of feel okay with supporting the developers and the people who made this game. So yeah, again, not going to go into that discussion. Now I did a little bit, sorry about that, but yeah, it's a great game. Actually, I love this game. I give this game 10 out of 10. And if you like Harry Potter, if you always wanted to wander around Hogwarts, then I can highly recommend Hogwarts Legacy. And by the way, I'm playing on Xbox Series S. Alright, thank you so much for listening and watching this video. What do you think about Hogwarts Legacy, and are you a Harry Potter fan? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any more questions, also comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and please feel free to subscribe to this channel and my main channel. Also check out my Instagram and podcast at You Know The Bow. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and drive safe. Thank you very much.